of such and such a thing. I mean, you know, you can lead a horse to water, you can educate them, but so let's say a teacher is willing to look around the classroom or get some sense. Someone who's been missing classes, who drops out, whose grades drop, things like that, what would you say?
If a teacher is noticing these signs in a student of theirs, I would definitely encourage that teacher to pull that student aside, to speak to them, to let them know that they're concerned, let them know that they can come talk to them, you know, whenever need be, and just try to, you know, be there to support them through what they're going through.
The teacher wouldn't say, "I'd like to see you after class. I just want to discuss something with you," or you leave it up to the students. They may not, you know.
Right.
It's important, definitely, for teachers to be educated in the situation, because as a teenager, most of the time you're in school. That's where most of your life is spent, in school, with teachers, with friends. So
with the abuser.
Yeah, and with the abuser as well. So it's very important for teachers to be educated on the situation and pull a student aside. I mean, you don't have to necessarily say, "I think you're in an abusive relationship," but you can say, like, you know, I feel like if you notice that the grades are changing, be like, a teacher could definitely say, "I've noticed a change in your grades. Is everything okay? You know that you could always talk to me about anything," and continue to, I guess, keep a watch on the student. And if you feel like you need to report it to higher authority, then they should do just that.
For parents and teachers, it's just always important to keep the communication lines open. Let them know that they have a person to talk to. If they're feeling bad, no matter what they say, this teacher or whoever is there to support them will always be there to support them.
Parents should not get angry. A lot of parents get angry. A lot of parents automatically ground their children, or say, "You can't see him or her anymore."
That's a reflex.
It's a reflex, and you know, I think I've noticed with TIER, when we do parent presentations, it's always a little bit harder, because I think parents take it very personal. So they feel like it's a direct reflect on their parenting skills, which has nothing to do with that. You know, you could be the greatest parents and still have this situation going on, because it's common and it happens. So I feel like with parents, what they can do is just talk to their kids, like Shana said, keep communication lines open. That's the best thing you can do. But we don't recommend getting angry. Never really works out.
What happens when parents get angry or frustrated with the situation, which is totally understandable from a parental point of view. But what happens is that the teen often rebels against whatever it is that the parent is placing, and it can easily backfire with someone that is under such a intense amount of scrutiny from their partner.
They already have someone telling them what to do. Getting another person who's making, very serious demands on them can be extraordinarily difficult.
And threats. Yeah.
And threats. I mean, they're being, at that point, then they're just getting pulled in two different directions. So it's really important to kind of maintain a sense of calm and make it so that they don't seem like they're blaming their child. Like, it's not grounding them because it's their problem, because it's their child's fault, but there's concern for them.
Okay. Maritza, let's bring it to the parent. You were caretaker for your niece. We don't have to talk about what happened now, but did you see the signs? How did you deal with it? What happened?
Well, at first I was angry.
What are you angry at? What was she doing?
I was angry at the fact that she allowed him to control her.
How did he control her?
It was as soon as she started dating him, he took her away from us, further and further away from us. We knew he was not all there, and the more we told her not to be with him, it just drew her closer to him, So she stopped going to school. She stopped hanging out with her friends. She became very depressed and you can just see that he just controlled every aspect of
And
her life.
she stopped spending time with the family? Is that what
Yes,
you're
yes.
saying?
It came to the point where she would run away. And because we disapproved so much, and he did not want her around us because of that disapproval, so he controlled her in the point where he just would tell her to stay with him. And she would just leave days, weeks, months at a time where we didn't know where she was.
What did you do to try to reach her, engage her? I mean, did you know what to do?
Well,
Or
no, I
is-
didn't.
You know now more
Oh, now I know, after the fact.
as a result of the educational
Yes,
programs?
yes, and doing my research and everything else. Now
How
I
did
know.
you act? Were you angry?
Yes, very
Okay,
angry.
that's a no-no.
Yes, now I know it's a no-no. Then essentially we just gave up. It was just like, okay, you're going to be with him. The relationship, it was already about a year into it. You know, she was 16, dropped out of school, and it was like, okay, you're going to be with him, then we're just going to have to work with that. You know, and that's what I did.
Okay, in fact, you know, the more angry you are with, you know, your child, the more you're pushing that person towards the abuser. It's a vicious cycle.
And being that the victim, now that the family's upset, sees that the abuser is the only thing that they have. So even if they did want to be with the abuser, it's just going to draw them closer to them because that's all they have.
Okay. I'm just thinking, free-associating as I do. A lot of parents don't, for some reason, don't like the boyfriend or girlfriend of their daughter or son, and they really harp on it. They don't like what that other person is doing to their child. Does that border on someone who's being abused, or is the parent just being selfish and not wanting to lose the child? Or how do you make a distinction with that? Because some, you know, whoever they're involved with pulls them away from family, and family that get upset about that. You know, they're out later, and they change a lot of behaviors. How do you separate those where they're more with the other person than with the family? How do you separate that from just throwing it out? I'm not sure.
Well, it depends on the relationship. I mean, there's no, unfortunately for any of this, there's no, you know, clean-cut way to figure out, you know, okay, well, you know, here are the rules and here are the signs, and to be able to look at it and say, you know, oh, that's an abusive relationship. There's unfortunately no way to do that, but you can usually get a sense for if your child is happy in this relationship or not, or if they're, you know, stuck in it or forced.
If they're happy.
Yeah, if they're happy. I mean, if they're feeling respected, if they're feeling that this relationship is good for them. You can usually get a feeling for that. There's a difference between them, you know, staying maybe a half an hour late on a date night than there is this person completely removing themselves from society. I mean,
Okay. So the boyfriend perhaps cancels the date, or shows up late, or brings her back late, or whatever. Yeah, those are signs, telling signs. There are a lot of parents who aren't really involved either.
Yeah. Yes.
So what do we do? I mean, and they're working 24/7, or you got a single parent family. What do you say to single parent families?
single parent family can still be supportive also. They can still
Absolutely.
be, you know,
Of course.
Yeah.
there for their children. And it's, you know, and if they don't have a support system, like a familial support system, you know, it's whoever's looking out for them, if it's their friends or if it's their teacher or something, can help to become that support system if there is one lacking.
Yeah, we always, you know, we always try to focus in on teen teens talking to other teens, because that's really where they get their information. It's really where they consider the information that's being given. When you know, when one teen is talking to one teen, they're on that level together. And when you're a teen, the most important thing to you is your friends. Yeah,
That's your family.
so really, you know, it's a call to all teenagers to build up that support system with these victims, and you know, be supportive of them leaving the relationship, and you know, moving on. It's
Yeah,
not
the
an easy
parents
thing.
are always the last ones to know. And if you build a friendship with the friend of your child, that's even better, because then they have confidence in you, that they can feel that they can come to you and talk to you about something wrong, you know, because the friends are not, they don't want to betray the trust of their friend. But if you build that rapport with them, they may be, instead of your child going to you, maybe the friend may come to you and say, look, I can't say anything, you know, but this is what's going on, you know, and just try to bring it up in a manner that your child doesn't even know that your friend told on you. Because then that'll bring conflict, you know, at the time. But, you know, sooner or later they'll realize that the friend did it for the best interest of them.
In TIER, we try to, when we go to presentations, we coin this expression, which is called safety versus secrecy. It's important because it's for the friends, so that they know that if you feel like your friend is in a dangerous situation and it's gotten to a point where you're worried, it doesn't have to be as far as you're worried about their life, but you're worried about any aspect, then you should definitely turn to a trusted adult, whether it be the friend, the parent of the victim, or it could be a teacher, a religious leader, your own parents, whoever you can. You definitely want to talk to a trusted adult to gain more information. Or this is the internet age. Google teen dating abuse and find out all the information that you can, so that you know maybe a better approach, or you have more education behind it, so you know the aspects of an abusive relationship and actually what goes around, and that it's actually a cycle.
It sounds very much like you're doing an intervention. Like, you know, like...
Yeah, it can be an
It's very much
intervention.
like a cult of one person, though.
Hmm?
Like you know, like cults, like they try to isolate people away from their parents and their family and their friends and take over their life.
It can be an intervention style. It's been done before.
Right, but also that kids might be susceptible to this, too, because they just want love. It's all about, like, they just want the love and the attention.
Absolutely. Well,
So where they are susceptible to a relationship, they're also susceptible to cults and other things like that. So they have to be mindful of such things.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any one
Cult.
such person that's susceptible to cults or
Yeah.
to abusive relationships, but I mean, just as anyone can get trapped into those things, I mean, this could happen to anyone. Anyone can get trapped into those types of dangerous and
People just want
overpowering.
attention. I mean, well, they want love.
Does it have to do?
Oh, it's not necessarily about what the victim wants. It's more about what the abuser is doing and making them want.
Yeah.
But
Takes
can the
two to
person walk
tango.
away? I mean, can the person just walk away?
No, you can't
No,
do that.
Usually.
It's not that easy to even walk away from a healthy relationship. I mean, a breakup, even with a healthy relationship, usually takes a while to actually really break up with somebody. So, I mean, even with an unhealthy relationship, it's the same thing. It goes back and forth.
Right. It's also like an addiction too.
Yeah, exactly.
absolutely.
That's the
Very
perfect
similar.
word.
You
Addiction.
also have to keep in mind that when a victim is leaving an abusive relationship, it's the most dangerous time for them. I mean, that is when the worst type of abuse usually happens, is when they finally start taking those steps to leave. And the average victim, it's reported, it takes them about 7 times to actually walk away from
Right.
the...
That if I can't have them, nobody will, kind of thing.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You see a lot of that in the paper and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's terrible.
So
But
that-
you guys are doing a great thing, so
Thank
just
you.
keep
Thank
talking
you.
about it.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank
Thank
Call.
you.
What keeps the abuser in an abusive relation? Is there a call? Okay. What keeps the abuser? What keeps the abused person in that relationship?
Okay.
Well, the victim is manipulated and being abused and being torn down, and it's, you know, it's very, very difficult for them to leave. Like Shayna said, it's the most vulnerable time. It takes anywhere from 3 to 7 times for a victim to successfully escape an abusive relationship. So it's just not as simple as walking away.
Could you say that that person who's being abused has low self-esteem in general?
See, I think in these like for that question, I would say that the abuser, you know, abuses them and pushes down their self-esteem by the verbal and emotional and mental abuse that they're constantly getting from this relationship, and that plays out on you when when you've been hearing that, certain comments. You just, and it's
Like
from someone
what?
that.
Like what? What do they say? You can be verbal here.
Like anything between, you're ugly, no one else will want you.
Amount to anything.
And the best thing that
amount
happens
to
to you.
anything. Yep.
Insulting them, just generally insulting
Just
them.
tearing
You can't
down.
live without me insulting them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you get within the, I'm sorry, when you get in the relationship, your self-esteem can be this high.
exactly.
But by the time you get done with it, depending how long you've been in a relationship, you're this low, and they'll take control of that, and they know that they've manipulated you to that point that they brought you there. So they've tangled you into their web, and they will control you in every way possible.
By the time you're trapped, you've already been through extensive amounts of manipulation and emotional abuse that you're in a lot of ways brainwashed to even sometimes to even believe that what's going on around you is right. That it's normal, and that you're the problem, you're the cause of this abuse. At the end of the day, that's a lot of times what victims feel, that if they were better, if they could be a better girlfriend, they could be a better boyfriend, they wouldn't be getting abused.
And they end up apologizing to the abuser because that's how he's manipulated the whole situation.
So if they come to one of you for help, what would you do? What do you do? You work for Victim Services, right?
Well, I mean, in a teen dating violent relationship, it's important to keep communication lines open, to make sure that they're there for them, to provide them all of their resources, the hotline numbers, their legal recourses, who they can talk to, and how to keep the safety planning, how to keep themselves safe, and education.
Does it work?
Yes.
What percentage?
There's definitely survivors.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can get a percentage of survivors, but there are survivors.
It's important just to build a support system for the victim at this time, because you can't tell a victim to leave the situation. You don't really want to tell the victim to leave the situation until they feel like it's ready. No one's going to know their relationship better than they are. So what you want to do is just continue to be a support for friends. You want to point out the unhealthy aspects of the relationship without blaming the abuser, because if you blame the abuser, the first thing the victim is going to do is defend their
How do you do that? How do you
boyfriend
point
or girlfriend.
out without criticizing?
For
What do you
instance,
say?
if you're best friends with the victim and they're going through an abusive relationship, and you notice that constantly he or their boyfriend is constantly saying, "Oh, where are you?" or "What are you doing?" or constantly texting, you can say to your friend, "Do you think that it's healthy that he's constantly asking you where you are, or where your whereabouts are, or who you're with, or situations like that?"
That's like a judgment, though.
But it's not.
You think it's healthy?
But you're not saying your boyfriend sucks. I hate your boyfriend.
Oh, okay.
This is an example.
You're saying this is an
That's
example of something that's
extreme, okay.
unhealthy. Yeah.
Okay. And what about the abuser? What kind of character do they have? I know they're on a power trip.
Abusers vary just as much as victims do.
It could be anyone.
It could be anyone. It could be someone who's loud in class, the class clown, to someone who never speaks in class and is just very quiet. It's just, it's anybody.
Let me talk about peer pressure. Let's say the abuser is somebody who is very popular. The person who's abused is not going to really say, criticize that other person or even single them out because everyone likes that person for some reason. So,
Hello?
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 Howard Stern.
Okay, good. I'm glad they cut it off. Okay, I think it's time to talk about Maritza. You were the aunt of a young woman, 17 years old,
Yes.
who was murdered by her
Boyfriend.
partner when she informed him that she was leaving the relationship. Do you want to talk about that?
Yes. Her name's Anissa Michelle Rivera. There was all the telltale signs of an abusive relationship, the controlling, the obsessiveness, the stalking. It was just, she had the withdrawal from the family, the friends, dropped out of school. It was everything involved. And we tried to talk to her about it, and she was just too far
How
in.
long did it go on?
They started dating December of '06. It wasn't until July of '08 that she decided that she was done with him.
All right. Was she living with you?
No, she was living with me since December of '04, and then August of '06. At that time I didn't have legal custody of her, so I moved away and I left her with my father.
What was her situation? Was she a single-parent family, or?
Well, it was, and that has a lot to do with it. She's my sister's child, and she was not with her mom. It wasn't until a couple of years ago that her mom took her for maybe about a year or so, but my father always was raising her, and when she got older, we was always a part of her life, buying her clothes, food, making sure she had, helping my father with her. But my father's elderly now, he's going to be 83, so.
What about her father?
Her father, she's never known him. Her mother lied to her so much. It wasn't until she was 14 when she came to live with me that she asked me questions, and when she told me what her mother told her, I told her it was not true, and we began to search for him. And that was a void that she wanted to fill so much in her life, and all that takes part into how she just got wrapped up with this guy and him controlling her the way he did.
Did she date before she met this guy?
No, he was actually the first boyfriend.
That was her first
Yes,
relationship.
so she
That's
was
significant.
looking,
Yeah.
Yes, it is, because she was looking for love in all the wrong places.
Just
And
wrong.
he comes, yeah, and he just, he took that vulnerability and he used it to his advantage.
Were there any telltale signs that anybody saw? I mean, there are telltale signs that parents don't see, teachers don't see. Kids using drugs, they're there, but you don't see them. Somehow
Well, they were there. There was no education.
What were the telltale signs?
It was back again, the controlling, she never brought him around. That was a clear example that something was wrong. I think deep down inside her, she knew there was something wrong. Never brought him around, didn't tell us where he lived. If we had to pick her up, she would say, oh, I'm at, the bowling alley, or I'm at the store. And that's where we would pick her up at. So right there, it told us something was wrong. Not even her best friend had met him, and they were dating for over a year. So that was a clear example of something was wrong. She knew something was wrong, but, she, like I said, was looking for love in all the wrong places, and he gave her that attention. And I would tell her all the time, you don't need that love. You have our love. She came back, when I moved back into the area, I told her enough was enough, because we never knew if she was dead or alive, that, he took her whole teenage life away, in a sense.
Where did he take her? To his
house.
Just out.
In his domain.
He had a car?
No, he didn't have a car. He would get his mother to pick him up, or, to pick her up to take her over there, or she would take the bus to his house, and, when she thought it was okay. You know, it wasn't a problem with her. But when I moved back, I told her she had to live with me. I put her into a GED program because it was too late for her to go back into high school. She went to a GED program. She started hanging out with her friends. I told her she was limited. I didn't want her with him, but she was limited. I would control when she saw him. So she only saw him on the weekends. That was it. And then she started hanging out with friends.
What was the threat that you had? What was the leverage you had that, you know, she'd only see him on the weekends, and if she saw him during the week, what would happen?
Nothing. She just.
You just made a promise that?
Yeah, and
okay.
I kept
you
it.
You didn't take away her computer or something
No.
That's what parents do. They take away television privileges.
No, because I know if I did anything like that, it would just draw her back to him.
Okay.
And I think she was ready at that time. It was already a year and a half. She was ready to move on because I think she finally realized that life wasn't all about him. She even started talking to other boys, you know, and hanging out with her friends. She became a teenager again, that she had lost all of that, being with him. It wasn't until July of 2008 when I found her journal. And at first I thought I was invading her privacy, but I decided, you know, when I was growing up, we didn't have privacy, you know, and I think that's the mistake that a lot of parents make. You know, they don't want to go into their children's MySpace accounts. They don't want to look at their cell phones. But you have to, because that's the only way you're going to find things out. And I looked into her journal, and that's when I had seen everything. You know, the abuse, the verbal, the physical, even financial abuse. You know, any money she got, it went to him. If my father gave her money to buy sneakers, she gave it to him.
It's like prostitute, a pimp.
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy. He controlled every aspect of her life. So
what happened? We have 2 minutes, 1 minute.
Okay. He eventually, when she tried to break up with him, tell her that she moved on with her life, he eventually, he told her if she wasn't going to be with him, he was going to kill her. And he was charged October 3rd, 2008. He made truth to his threats, and he rounded up 2 accomplices to come and murder her in my house. So they have been charged pending trial, and that's the outcome, the result of teenage dating abuse when it's unspoken of.
And you've been speaking around.
Yes. Like I've been doing my research, trying to bring awareness to the schools, to the community. Because
you want to give the .com a
yes,
plug?
Her website is www.aneesamichelle.org. Aneesa is ANEESA, and there it lists her story, and you know, dating abuse definitions, warning signs, how to get help, and other resources. You know, if you're in a relationship. Okay,
great. Any last words?
To find out more information on TIER, you can check out our website at www.teensagainst.abuse.org. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.